Let's take a quick look at some string manipulation techniques, and these are important ways of manipulating strings and doing things with strings that can be useful. So the first one is concatenation. Concatenation is just a long way of saying gluing strings together. And in JavaScript, we use the plus sign typically for concatenation. So if we have a variable called str first that contains Bill, and we have a variable called str last that contains Moseley, then we create a new variable called str name, and we say that that is equal to the first name variable plus a space plus the last name variable. The new resulting string is Bill space Moseley. So that is a way to glue those together. But even more interesting than that is what happens when we take a string like grape and an integer like 53. Well, you can't do math with 53 and the word grape or that sequence of letters, right? Now, obviously, it's not going to say fruit. It's going to say grape. There we go. That's what it's going to say. So when we take 53 plus grape, it comes out to the string 53 grape. What happens is anytime you take a string and an integer, a string and any number, and you concatenate those two with the addition sign, it cannot add a number to a string. So what it does is it converts this to a string and then puts them together. So even if I have two numbers like this, where I have 53 as an integer and the number 10 in a string, remember, still a string, still just a sequence of characters. What I end up with is 5310 as a string. So that is how concatenation works in a very basic sense, but that's one of the ways that we use to put strings together. The other, of course, is using a template literal. So if I want to take a string like this test sentence, and I want to split it into individual words, then what I would use is the split. Okay, I would use the string.split method, and I could take that and I tell it, use this character to split those words. So what I'm going to do is every time there's a space, that's going to split this string. And note that what you end up with is an array of words or list of words, and all of the spaces are gone because the spaces are what is used to split that sentence. Those actually disappear. Now, if I want to take that array, the words, and then join them back together, let's say I want to join them using the hyphen instead of the space, then what I end up with is a sentence where the words are joined with the hyphen. So you can take things apart and you can put them back together. And of course, you can put anything you want in here. I could use the letter T, in which case it would split here and here and here. Now that gives me nonsense from my perspective, but it may be useful in some other way. And likewise, I can use any character to join the sentence, but in the join, we're starting out with an array like words. Okay, so this cannot be a string, it has to be an array. And this is an array method. So we're going to use words.join, and this becomes the glue that holds the new string together. So that is how we split and join strings. Trim is very useful. This is a string method. Okay, so that's right here, trim. So if I have input from a user, sometimes users like to put random spaces at the front or back of things, which can really mess us up if we're taking a password or an email address or even a username. But if I take that input and I apply the trim method to it, notice there are no arguments required. Then what it does is it clears the space from before and after both of those. Okay, so that is the trim method.